Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Networking with Nathaniel. This is a podcast that I started because I'm a selfish person and I just wanted to meet more cool people. No, not really, but it allows me to highlight some people in my community who have started, who are sustaining, who are trying to grow their businesses. I'm pleased to have for episode 9, his favorite number, Jasper Son. I met, gosh, it's been maybe a year now through Sub 2. We met in the Daily Dials, right?
Yes.
The place where closers are born. Yeah, Daily Dial is an add-on to the Sub 2 community that Pace and his team put on 2 every day, 5 days a week, where you can come in and role play and learn how to get better on the phone, talking direct to sellers, talking to agents, and that's where I met. And you have come a long way since then, isn't that right, Jasper?
Yeah. Oh man. I still remember how painful. I wish I can go back and find the recording of the first role play I did. It
Yeah.
was so bad. I feel so bad that Jason had to go through that and everyone in Zoom who had to go through that with me.
I don't. I can share in the sentiment. That's for sure. Just the anxiety and the nervousness of being on this Zoom with 100 other people who are you feel are judging and critiquing you, but just want to see you do better.
Yeah.
And what you've done throughout my time knowing you is not been afraid to just get out there and take action. And even if it means falling flat on your face, knowing that that's what is required of being successful in anything you do, let alone, being on the phone in real estate. But tell me, Jasper, I know a little bit about you. I know like where you've started and where you've kind of come to. Um, Tell me about your journey in Sub 2 outside of the daily dials so far.
Yeah. So, one of the biggest things I wanted to do was I wanted to get good at calling people because I just knew that literally through like anything, wholesaling was about being able to talk to people and just being able to make connections and, just getting them to the finish line. And so to me, once I joined Sub2, I heard of the nightly dial. That's actually why I joined mainly because
Wow.
I heard they will actually like call real sellers and give you feedback on how you do. And that part was like super attractive to me. So obviously the daily dial helped a lot because every morning I could just role play with someone, kind of hone my skills. And then, nightly dial just was amazing with calling sellers and just getting feedback. And that's how I actually joined Daniel's team.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is that an experience? So for all of you that are listening and don't know, Daniel Quijano is like one of the top leaders inside Sub 2. He's a sales
With,
master, guru,
yeah.
whatever, yeah, you want to call him ninja. And he has his own wholesaling team, acquisitions team that Jasper was fortunate enough. And I say fortunate enough, yes, fortunate, but also you came in and proved yourself as being somebody who's taking action every day, and Daniel saw that in you. How has that experience been for you being on somebody else's team? I know that a lot of people recommend going and joining somebody's team when you're getting started out, and that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely a good idea because you kind of get an idea of structure. A lot of people, when they go into, I feel like the entrepreneurial space, it's easy to kind of lose that structure that they have. Like a lot of people go from like a 9 to 5 and then they've always had like a set direction and instructions. And to go from that to like no direction whatsoever, I think that's like to some people, it could be a big jump. And to me, it was like a big jump. I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So like that's why joining a team, kind of understanding how their structure, their business worked, and like kind of seeing their systems, like, okay, so this is how I should do my business. And I learned from it. And obviously, DQ with the sales,
Yeah.
feedback, it's just good.
Yeah. That's funny you say it like that. I've never heard anybody put it to to the way you just put it. It reminds me a lot of when I was in the Marine Corps. I knew a lot of people who were scared to get out
Mhm.
because you go from having somebody telling you where to be, when to be, what to do, to now what do I do? I'm sure you can equate
Exactly.
it to being in like high school and that transition or college and that transition. But yeah, that's interesting. So I know that you're still working with Daniel, right?
Yeah, I'm still working with
Yeah.
Daniel.
Awesome. How's that going for you? Are you on a path to staying there forever and ever?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Slowly I'm building my own stuff, but I appreciate everything that Daniel's done for me. Obviously still, I still have some stuff to learn. I still want to be a part of the team, but I'm still at this point where I'm also trying to grow my own personal thing and slowly kind of shift into having my own business.
Yeah. Did did you and Daniel have a like an agreement that you're gonna work for X amount of time? Was there like a minimum and a maximum? Because I've heard people saying like, hey, after a year, you're out of here, kind of thing.
Mm,
Like we expect you to leave.
mm.
What did that look like with Dan? If you're allowed to share, I don't want to.
No, no, yeah, I can share this. Honestly, me and Daniel, it was like a complete trust-based system. He saw that I was just taking action, and he said, "Hey, here's an opportunity that you might be interested in. Let me know if you are." And then there wasn't like an official agreement whatsoever.
Okay.
We were just kind of like on a verbal basis. Hey, let's just join the team, see how it is. If you like it, stay. If you don't like it, feel free to leave whenever you'd like. And so I mean, that kind of freedom structure is basically what Daniel has on the team, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty nice. He just
Yeah.
he gets people that he trusts and that he
Yes,
sees
exactly.
taking action. Yeah. What does your role with Daniel look like right now?
Basically, I'm still one of his acquisition guys. Like we kind of have like a merge system with like lead manager and closers, and I think that's like a good thing because lead managers get a chance to try to close the leads themselves, and closers can, obviously just close. But basically, how the team structure works is like whoever gets assigned to a lead, they get to, try to take it to the finish line, and if they can't, someone else steps in and then kind of just move it forward along the process.
Yeah, interesting. So at what point as a lead manager do you bring it to a closer? You say like, I can't do it, or is somebody kind of keeping an eye on you and saying, okay, no, it's time for somebody to step in? Like, what does that all look like?
I think it's honestly on like how long you stay in, like how much you follow up on it, and if you want to request for help.
Mhm.
So a lot of the like one of the team structure right now is we kind of have like once it goes into like an offer making stage, then the lead manager has about like 2 or 3 days to make that offer and then
Okay.
continuously follow up with it. But if the lead manager doesn't continuously follow up with it, one of the closers can come in and kind of just, say, hey, seems like you're not following up on this, let me take this over and then try to take it to the finish line.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, he's
Yeah.
been doing this for a long time, so he's got some
Yeah.
systems and processes in place.
Yeah. And I think it just builds like a built in accountability because it's like, okay, that could be a potential deal for you. But if you don't consistently follow up on it and someone else can come in literally at the finish line and take it to the finish line. So it's like
Yeah.
it keeps people on their toes almost just by wanting to follow up with that lead.
Yeah, keep I mean, and that's the name of the game. You're aware of that at this point of like
Yeah.
following up,
Follow
even
up.
once you've
Follow
made an
up.
offer, like, hey, uh, what's going on?
Literally like a
Yeah.
lead that was like we made an offer I think a couple months ago that was stuck at 85. Now I called her back recently, she was like, oh yeah, I'll take 60, and I was like, oh wow,
That's a big
okay.
change. Yeah.
Yeah, so follow up is literally the name of the game.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, you were just telling me before we started here that you've got a deal that we're gonna fingers crossed here. You're
Oh,
gonna get
please.
across the finish line today yourself. And this is
Hopefully.
a deal that you are not associated with Daniel,
No,
correct?
this
This
was one
is
of the stuff I was building out.
yeah,
And so this was one of the first deals that I'm doing as I was building out my system. But not to say too much, but it has been a nightmare.
yeah. I know we texted a little bit about it, and
Yeah.
there that's how the way these go sometimes. And this was a foreclosure lead, correct?
Yes, it was
Okay.
a foreclosure lead. It was gonna go to auction, but we stopped the auction on it. And so she was actually already approved for a loan mod. So we didn't even need to go walk her through the whole process of the loan
Wow.
mod. And so basically we got her sorted out. She's going through the loan mod, no trial period, so she could just sell it outright. And then we're taking it over down like sub two. But as we were working the titles and the whole buyers thing, a lot of liens popped up, very typical of foreclosure properties,
Yeah.
and that almost killed the deal.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm gonna knock on some wood here. And hopefully it stays the course and you get that thing closed today. But yeah, tell me a little bit more about what you got going on your own thing. I know you've been building out some SMS and texting funnels and that kind of stuff. Kind of give me a high level look into that.
Yeah, so basically I made a recent hire. So like my VA has been pulling the data from the county directly,
Okay.
and we try to make it do it like every day where we get every time it comes out, we skip trace it and then we send out a text the same day. We're not there yet. Still refining some processes, but that's the goal. And then once it comes into the system, we have them go through like an SMS campaign that I've just like built out.
Hmm.
And then whoever responds, I put them either to like I give them a call, figure out where kind of what stage of the foreclosure process they are in, and then just keep them in my CRM.
Okay. And what happens to a lead that doesn't have like it pops up as a landline? What are you doing with those
Oh,
ones?
so for those ones, I have it separated for like calling. So I have a
Okay.
calling list and a SMS list. So anyone who I don't reach out on the SMS side of things, I will try calling all the different numbers, and then just try to reach out to them
Okay.
essentially.
Yeah, and when you say all the different numbers, you're talking about per contact.
Yes, per
Yeah, okay.
contact. So whether that be their mobile number, whether that be their like landlines, or if it's like a VoIP, like I try
Yeah.
to reach out to all of them.
Okay. And how many attempts are you making to call these people or text even before you're like, or is there even a point where you go,
Depends. So I do something where like I reach out to them 5 weeks before the auction. And so I send like a regulated like text over the course of like the 5 weeks.
okay,
Um, and then once, I feel like, okay, if they responded, I call them. If they don't respond to any of the texts, like by week two, I start calling them and just reaching out to them. And I would do that every once in a while. I think it's once or twice a week until the auction, and then kind of just do it like that.
okay. So I do remember you saying this. This was a few months ago we talked about it. So you have a, 6 weeks or 5 weeks out campaign, and then
Mhm.
as it gets closer to the auction, you have another separate texting campaign that's the wordage has changed, or is that not the
Yeah,
case?
so it's still the same campaign, but I kind of like add more wording like, hey, like the auction is coming. Like I would let them know that like because obviously everyone knows why they're being reached out to.
Yeah.
And so like I kind of just tell them, just be honest with them, say, hey, I see that the auction is coming up in 3 weeks. We don't have a lot of time. Like I can still help if that's what you're trying to do. And I always try to go with the value first. Like if their best option is honestly to save their place, I can help them out with that and I could just walk away happy.
Yeah.
But if I have to be a last resort to buy their place, I will be there.
I love
Yeah.
that. I know that you haven't been doing this very long, and like you said, you're still fleshing out like what the campaigns are look like. Have you? I know that you're buying one. Well, you're wholesaling, right? But have you actually helped anybody stay in their house at this point?
Would like to think so.
Okay.
So a lot of people, so like Oklahoma has a kind of program for people in foreclosure like that happened because of COVID. It's
Okay.
called the Oklahoma Housing Finance Agency. Basically, they help any homeowners who got behind due to COVID related reasons. And so I've actually helped out a couple of people who actually got approved for it. And so the finance agency told the bank, hey, we approved them for this payment, put them out of foreclosure. And so they haven't paid them yet just because of how long the process takes. but they stopped the auction on the place because they got approved for that whole process.
That sounds like a yes to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah. Well, that's awesome. Where do you I know it's Tulsa. Are
Mhm.
you I know and you're still figuring out, you're still like nailing down Tulsa. Like are there 3, 6, 12-month plans to expand?
Yes. So I think my thing is I'm very big on not moving markets. I feel like it whenever someone chooses a market, as long as it's above a certain number of population,
Mm.
the reason you're not getting deals isn't like it's too oversaturated. It's more so that you're not doing well enough in the market. And so like I want to first get good and get consistent deals from the Tulsa market and then move eventually out to like Oklahoma City and then
Okay.
if possible then to Texas.
Okay. Yeah, it's not that far of a reach from Oklahoma City down to Texas.
Yeah.
No. I don't know if you remember, I was in Oklahoma City for a couple years,
Oh,
like
I didn't know
2016 to
that.
2018. Yeah. We were south of Oklahoma. Well, we were in Oklahoma City for 6 months or something like that. And then we moved down like 20 minutes south of OKC, a city called Newcastle,
Oh,
just on the outskirts. I loved it. It was great. Yeah.
oh,
But I
okay.
like what you said there is it's interesting because I have found myself in the should we change markets conversation. I don't know how many times over the past 5 years, like, since we've been out in the Augusta, Georgia area, like, yes, it's a smaller market, but there's deals being done here. There's lots
Mhm.
of deals being done here. And you said you either don't you, like your system's not right, your processes are not right, your skills are not right, you're doing something not right. So keep
Yeah,
working on you. It's not that area. You're just gonna change places and have all the same problems somewhere else, especially if you
exactly.
go to a bigger market where the competition's even more fierce, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just like my thoughts on how it is. It's like you want to be able to be successful even in an environment where you think it's hard so that if ever a easier environment comes in, you'll just absolutely like crush it.
Yeah. You're gonna be the big fish in the little pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're fleshing out the systems. I know that being a part of Daniel's team, you've seen systems and processes, and now, we've talked about it. You're constantly tweaking and constantly, testing and getting better at that. So that's
Yeah.
amazing to see. What's kind of, what is it that you're working on inside the system right now that, um, is it just straight campaigns like the SMS stuff, or is there something else that you're kind of looking at?
So more so than campaigns, oh, is everything okay?
Yeah, I think it was my dog just shipped. I just
Oh,
funny sound, yeah.
okay.
Appreciate it.
More so the SMS campaign that's like mostly done.
Mm,
For me, it's more now reaching out to like these prospects in different ways. So whether that be more calling or
okay.
reaching out to family members or doing some type of different marketing. So like those are kind of the different steps I'm thinking of taking.
Okay.
So right now, like I more or less have like the basic first step for like foreclosures, but I want to go for evictions next and then after evictions, I also want to do like probates and just kind of like build out certain things where, my marketing is solid for all of these different channels.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. What do you, maybe you don't know this. I don't want to put you on the spot because it hasn't been a long time yet, but
Mhm.
if you had KPIs for how many texts you send to how many responses you get, do you know those?
That's
Okay.
literally one of the things I need
Yeah,
to work on.
that's all
I
right.
Everyone tells me that I need to work on my KPIs, but I it's like a very bad habit of me where I'm like, oh well, I will track KPIs once I have enough business going on,
Yeah.
which I know it doesn't work like that, but I haven't been tracking my KPIs
It's
diligently.
hard. It's one of those things that I've found are kind of not a double-edged sword, but you have to have enough volume for any sort of data to make sense, but you don't want to be
Exactly.
holding out for a lot of volume before you start tracking them because if you make 3 phone calls and you get one deal, that's probably not indicative of what the real numbers look like. But
Definitely
if you're
not.
making 150 phone calls and you're not even talking to anybody, well, that's probably not indicative of what the thing should look like either. So yeah, I
Exactly.
feel you. I Before Brittany came on board, I was not doing KPIs myself, and I had been doing it a lot longer than you've been doing it so far. So don't feel ashamed or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things where like I feel like in business there's always something that you know you have to do, but you like actively avoid doing just because you
Yeah.
don't like doing it.
It sounds like you have a new task for your VA. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. She's been great, but she already has a lot on her plate, so I don't
Okay.
want to overwhelm her
Yeah.
with a lot of stuff
Let
yet.
her get the ironed out, her process
E-
ironed out first before you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is interesting now. How did you train this person up to be able to go and pull your data? Um,
Mm.
yeah, I know people have shot like Loom videos or like write it out on a Word document. How did it work? How did you find it worked for you and worked for your VA?
Yeah, so before I actually hired, I had like a Word document. I put in like a detailed guide, and then I completely scrapped that once onboarded her. I was just like, okay, Loom is literally the answer because I
Mm,
can show her all these different things via Loom, like share my screen, show her what I'm doing because I was the one doing that exact process
yeah.
before I hired her. So I knew the process really well. And any questions she had, I kind of preemptively answered them in a Loom. And
Mm,
then so she's like, hey, if you run across this situation, this is what you should do. And if you run across this situation, this is what you should do. But like Looms have been really helpful for me.
yeah,
And
I
I'm
can imagine.
constantly creating Looms. It's
Yeah.
just like never ending course.
That's awesome. So you have a little course for how to pull data in Tulsa. So you
Yes,
got like
exactly.
19 bucks a pop right there. Yeah, no. That's awesome. And one thing that I think it was Sam Singh mentioned it. Maybe it was like Marlon Johnson. Like once they get in now, you should have them start making the looms.
Mm.
Yeah, because now they're seeing it. Now they're gonna get it from their perspective as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that. But
yeah,
yeah,
it's kind of
that's a
interesting.
good idea.
Yeah, because they're gonna have, by the time they're kind of done, they're gonna have done 10 times the amount that you've done. And
Oh,
so, yeah, they're going to be a little bit more experienced to be able to create the looms for you that way too. Yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting. Um, well,
Hiring.
I have some fun. Well, maybe we'll see how quickly they go. A couple fun questions for you here, Jasper. Um, what is your biggest life lesson if you had to come up with one, and how did you learn it?
I
Yeah.
think the biggest life lesson actually to me happened during COVID, like when it was the peak of COVID. So I had a very, very negative outlook on like life, I would say. Like I
Oh,
was like always that person's like, damn, I have to go to work. Like I have to work a job that I hate for the rest of my life. And I genuinely thought that entrepreneurship was for the rich because I was thinking you have to do entrepreneurship from like a 9 to 5 setting. I didn't even think about working after hours from 5 to whenever. That like process didn't even register for me. And so I thought, okay, so if you have to do entrepreneurship, you either have to risk it all and risk it making it, or you have enough like money lying around that you can try different things.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like when I was like, no, that's actually not true. Like just sitting down and like consuming all these like different content and reading books, like learning that entrepreneurship isn't for the rich, it's literally for anyone was like the biggest life lesson, I would say.
Mm.
Yeah,
So it was the COVID kind of catalyst that like
exactly.
kicked you out of this depressive state and got
Yeah,
you out there
I,
learning?
I would just not a depressive state, more just like a negative outlook.
Okay.
Like I
Yeah,
always
better
thought
word.
like a job would be always for me. Like I would only have a job in my life. And
Yeah.
like the idea of a job was not super appealing for me. And so like if I knew my set path was this not so appealing path, I just didn't have a positive outlook. And so I
Yeah.
was but once I started looking into how entrepreneurship worked, because COVID gave me that time to kind of look into and delve into certain different things, that's when I like realized, okay, entrepreneurship is actually for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to focus and do like you've done for how long have you been in sub two now?
It's a little over a year. It's been a
Okay.
year and 2 months now, I think.
Yeah, something okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
figured it was in that year range. Yeah, so what I was gonna say is like just get out there and take action every single day towards what your goals are, like you have done for a year and change now. And you're going to be seeing the fruits of your labor. I recently saw somebody that said, you reap what you sow, but it
Mhm.
takes time for what you sow to reap.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, we all want this like instant gratification. Like, hey, I made 5 hours of phone calls today. I should have gotten a deal. Nah, that's not necessarily how it works. Like, 'cause,
No.
I got another one. This one's a little bit more fun. If you know you're going to be stranded on a desert island, so you
Okay.
can choose 3 items to take with you. What 3 items would you take?
Do I? Okay, no, I wouldn't have Wi-Fi.
No
Um,
follow-on question.
okay. Um, I would bring water.
Oh,
I would bring, I would say Korean barbecue. Um, and I would bring a lighter. I would say those three things.
okay.
Yeah.
So two finite resources. Well, actually they're all kind of finite. The
Yeah.
lighter's gonna run out of food eventually. You'll be like really happy for a little while though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess my thoughts is like either I try to stay and hope for the best, or I can just enjoy my time while I have it. And so I think I went for the enjoying
I
my
like
time.
that. Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. Well, it's a pleasure speaking with you as always, Jasper. I do have one last question
Mhm.
is if anybody out there wanted to work with you,
Yep.
how would they go about it? What would that look like? What's the best way to reach out for you to you and go?
Yeah, they can reach out to me via Instagram or via Facebook. My
Okay.
Facebook is just my name, Jasper Son.
Yep.
And then my Instagram name is just Jasper Son underscore REI. And so if they can reach out to that way, and see their DMs, I usually respond pretty quickly unless I missed it. But yeah, they can help out that way.
Awesome. Yeah, the links to those will be in the description here. And they're pretty easy to his name's right there on the thing, Jasperson. What would somebody want yeah, what would you be looking for if somebody were to reach out to you? Is there anything in
So
particular?
Nothing in particular. If you have a lead, sure, I can help. But if you just need some kind of direction, usually like if there's like a general directional question someone wants to ask, I usually respond to them on like Saturday at night where like I'm working out and then I have like a minute to just respond to anyone, hop on a call with them and
Okay.
just say, hey, this is what I did when I was new. Based on where you are at, this is what I would recommend you do.
I love that. I do the same thing. It's like it's kind of a teach a man to fish type of thing. Like
Yeah.
people bring me leads and they're like, "Hell, help me close this lead." I'm like, "Well, I could do that, or we could talk through it, and you could
Mhm.
take this thing as far as you can, and if you bungle it up, then I can come in and we'll
Oh,
pretend like we don't even know each other. But like, let's
I
talk
love
about this
that.
and see what you can do first, you know?"
I love that so much. Like that, I genuinely think that is the best way to JV. It's like do take it as far as you can, and then if you need help, let me know so I
Yeah,
can step in and then teach you the rest of the steps.
yeah. And it's just like, it's that you've had them and you had it with your biggest life lesson is the mental shift. Like how many mental shifts I've had since joining Sub 2, just like that abundance one. Like, no, I don't need to be a financial part of every single little deal. Like,
No.
and it just because I help you out doesn't mean that we're gonna do a deal together down the future, but potentially it could be, and it might be a huge one. And just
Yeah.
let's teach everybody to fish, and then we can all eat some fish.
And the reason I love that so much is like that is what I would have wanted someone to do for me when I was starting. And
Yeah.
like I had that someone, like Tevin was that someone who helped me, kind of like just help me. Like obviously we had a great relationship from the start. Like he fronted up the money to stop a tax auction the very next day with no security whatsoever. So it only felt right for me to like say, hey, I will cover you if you lose that money. And like ever since then, we've just been great friends.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, just the paying it forward. Like people are, it's constant. But
Yeah.
I appreciate you, brother. Until next time. Later, dude.